What's up, guys? It's your boy King J. We're back again with another video. I promised last week that I'm gonna talk a little bit more in detail why I left the airline industries, and here we are. This is that video. So thank you guys for coming back. Stick around, and I'm gonna hit you with this killer intro. Be right back. What's up, guys? Welcome to Alexander's Palace. I'm your host, King J. We are back again with a new video. As promised from last week, I would be telling you guys the story of G2 Secure Staffed and why I left the airline industries. And let me tell you, there's a lot of different secrets that a lot of people don't know when they're flying a plane. When you guys get on a plane, there's a ton of things that you guys don't know, actually, about the industry that I worked for. A lot of people ask me a ton of questions, like, about my experiences with the airline industries and everything. And as I will tell them, it's definitely an experience, and there's some things that I'm ready to tell. So here's those stories. I feel like a Law and Order episode right here. These are these stories. Dun dun. So yeah, little brief history on the airline industry. So the airlines started up, way before World War II. After World War II, it became a dominant industry. My grandmother, my mother's mother, worked for TWA for a little bit throughout my mother's childhood, actually. So she was right under the president of TWA until the 90s, when she retired. And it was good that she got out when she did, because TWA went under really hard in the early 2000s and was taken over by American. But a lot of those TWA workers lost their pensions, lost their retirements, their 401ks. It was horrible. So my grandmother was lucky. I have an uncle that worked for TWA, but then he switched over to at the time U.S. Airways, and worked for them for years until they were acquired by American. He went to work for United, then he retired with American finally. So I've always been around planes. I've always flown. I've been flying for years. I took my first flight by myself when I was 5. I've been flying for years, so I was a little already understanding of the airline industries. I've never been afraid of flying. I love it. I love flying, but working for the airline industries, you learn a lot of different things about the airlines that you're working for, and the competitors within the airline industries. And it's crazy. There's a lot of different things going into it. So the company I work for is called G2 Secure Staffed. I started there in November of 2020, and they are a contracted company. So there is a lot of companies out there throughout the United States that subcontract. So a lot of airlines subcontract their instead of paying a union, like American, Southwest, and Delta are pretty much the only 3 airlines that they're the only 3 airlines that don't really contract out. They have a union. And so when you go work for those airlines, you are unionized. But if you go work for any other airline, unless you're at their home base, so like Frontier, but even Frontier, most of Frontier contracts are contract anyway. So if you go work for any other airline, so like Frontier, Spirit, Alaska, any of those airlines, JetBlue, they're contracted out to different companies. So there's a lot of different companies in the United States. G2 is just one of them. GAT, they're one of them. Allied Services Allied Services or AST, something like that. They're one of them. Minsky's, they're one of them. There's a lot of different ones that are. There's a lot of different contracts out there to work for. So I work for a contracted company. So when I started, it was the end of 2020. So 2020, the big pandemic came. So we only had one flight a day, and we had about two flights a day. I take that back, because we still have Frontier and we had Alaska. So it wasn't really that busy when I started. It was slowly but surely picking back up. So when I started, I just started off as a regular ramp agent, went through my training and everything, and I was just learning the ropes, learning how to do everything. And so I remember my training class was about 6 people. And out of those 6 people, three of us, me, Steven, and Chris, we were the only ones that really survived out of that class after like a month or 2 months or whatever. The turnover rate on those contracted companies are terrible, by the way. So, and everything was going good. It started off good. I was working for 2 airlines. I was working for Alaska and Frontier, learning the ropes. And, after working there for about a month and a half, January comes. Was it January? Yes, so January comes. It was just after New Year's. January comes, and my boss at the time told me I'm going to Vegas. So, yeah, took my Las Vegas trip. So I went to Vegas for a couple days during 2021 of the January, and I went to go learn how to be a load master. So in Frontier Airlines, so most airlines have a weight and balance type of thing. They have somebody that does weight and balance for them. Most of the bigger airlines, they have somebody that does it internally, but most of the smaller airlines always have somebody out there. So for Frontier, as a load master, my job was to make sure that the bags were loaded efficiently into the planes, and I followed my crew and I followed the load plan. So we would get a load plan from Central Load Planning in Denver, Colorado. They do all the load planning for every flight that Frontier does. And when it's your flight's time, you have a load planner send you out a load plan. So Frontier operated Airbus's A319s, A320s, and A321s. Now, they phased out the 19s towards... I've only seen one A319 on Frontier throughout my entire tenure there. They phased them out very quickly, but the 320s and 321s were hit to stay, and I had to load bags accordingly to whatever the load plan wanted me to do. So if it's a light flight, most light flights, we'll say 40 people going to Denver or whatever, and at the most we're going to have 25 bags. They're all going in the bin 1 up front of the plane. It keeps it from tipping, because Airbuses doesn't use a tail stand, and we'll get to that in a second, what a tail stand is, but they don't use that. So yeah, learning that, you had to learn how to do that, because if you didn't, one bag is not bad, not the end of the world. 20 bags in the wrong spot is pretty much, if anything happens to that plane, they're coming to look at you. So I took that job very seriously, especially when they start throwing out 25 to life of prison time. So I took that job very seriously, And so I was also doing Alaska. So I was the load master for Frontier. That was pretty much, I was the it guy on that one. But then Alaska, I was learning how to pick things up. Alaska they operate mostly Boeings, and they operate Boeings. They have these smaller aircraft that I can't think of the name of them for the life of me right now. And then they do Airbuses as well. Personally, I prefer working on an Airbus than I do a Boeing. Boeing sucks so much. But depending on what type of Boeing we got. If we got a 700, I'm hands down, I'm good. I'll go in the pits. But if we got like an 800, 900, I don't want to do nothing. Oh my gosh. Especially in the later time period. But yeah, everything was going great. G2 was good. At the time, I was getting paid $15 an hour for working Alaska, and then on work Frontier, I was getting $14.50. That changed though in the summertime to where they start balancing things out. So now it was just 15 all across the board. So I thought I was doing pretty good. And then we start picking up more flights, which meant more hours. And it started off well. The beginning of it was extremely well. But then when I came back, so in 2021 I took a vacation to Miami. um, with my girlfriend to go see my mother for her birthday, and my grandpa and his wife also came, and we celebrated her birthday. When I came back from Miami, that very next week, I went on my first TDY tenure. Now, uh, TDYs for G2, depending on what you know, you will be you're tasked with going out to different stations and helping them with whatever airline you know how to do. So I knew how to do Alaska. So I was trained on Alaska. I was Alaska trained. And so they sent me to Houston to help out. And I went with a guy named Selvin to help them out. First of all, it was my first TDY experience, but I can also tell you that it was the first time that I've been to a dysfunctional station. And well, don't get me wrong, my station's dysfunctional as hell, but I didn't realize it until I went to Houston. Houston opened my eyes to how dysfunctional the company actually was, because Houston is supposed to be one of their bigger bases. They didn't have a GM. They didn't have any managers. The rampers were all over the place. They wasn't following procedures. It was the worst TDY experience I've ever had and it was my first one. But I only liked it because I got a $3 extra pay raise. So who wouldn't want to go? And I got to get paid. I get paid my regular hourly base plus $3 plus per diem. So traveling had its perks. Weird. It was weird traveling there though. We flew through a thunderstorm, so it was like, oh, well then, and it was just like, well, damn, that was a crazy experience for me. But yeah, so the dysfunction. That's when I start realizing that my company has a little dysfunction around it, and by far, I cannot tell you, Kansas City has the best people. I can wholeheartedly tell you it's not. And I'm about to reveal a lot of different things here, so bear with me. But yeah, Houston was a very dysfunctional station, and that kind of just like it kind of that's where the seeds of like maybe this isn't right for me started planting themselves. But it wasn't. They were there, but I hadn't put them in the ground yet. You know what I'm saying? I haven't put them in the ground. So after that, I became a permanent TDY. So I would travel to different stations, helping them out wherever they need help at. Even training somehow, because I was a coach for Alaska, so I would help train and whatnot. So one of my earlier trips, I started going to St. Louis a lot. So I was in St. Louis about 3/4 of my summer for 2021, and I was elsewhere else, wherever else they need me. So I remember a couple different stories from there. But we're going to go to Omaha, because I'm going to tell you why Omaha has stuck with me for a while. I hate Omaha, Nebraska. I am so sorry. That airport is the trashiest airport in the entire United States. And it has some of the best people I've ever worked with, though. Those guys can get at it. Those guys can clear a plane out in no time. And they're hard workers. And they're underappreciated. They were underappreciated. So, I've been to Omaha twice. The first time I went to Omaha, I had trouble with the manager because, in a contract, when you work for a contract company, not only do you have your managers, so not only do you have G2, like for me, G2 managers, you also have liaison managers for your respective airline. So for us, we had people, our managers, so at Kansas City, there was a lady named Jessica. She was our Alaska manager. So she ran the Alaska operations from the Alaska side. So she was a liaison between G2 and Alaska. And same thing when, for Frontier, at first we had a guy named Rocky. He was our Frontier manager. And then it changed to another guy. I can't think of his name right now. I've been gone for too long. I don't really care. But yeah, so there was this lady named Sydney, and she hated me. For some reason, she just hated me, but she hated rampers. And so as a ramper, you are the grunt. You do the majority of the work. Don't get me wrong. The passenger service agents upstairs, the ladies upstairs, or the men upstairs, whoever's working upstairs, they put in work too. But we do the hard physical stuff. We put, we bring in the plane, we unload the plane. We have to have the bags at the carousel in 20 minutes or under or less. We have to load that plane out. We only have X, Y, and Z amount of time. And then don't let the plane be late, because then it becomes our problem to get the plane back out on schedule. Don't let that happen. And we are greatly underappreciated. As a ramp agent, I had the most unappreciative job, because it was like, well, why couldn't you do more? What do you expect? I'm not about to physically push myself to the point that I die. That was the whole issue there. So in Omaha, Sydney did not like any of the ramp agents, and every delay would go on them until I stepped up and said something. And I even said this in front of the Alaska. There's an Alaska district manager or regional manager or whatnot. His name was Magnus. Yes, I will repeat that. His name was Magnus. You would think, when I heard the name at first, I would think he was like this like white dude. No, this man was straight black, bald ass head, tall as hell, but he looked like he looked like Syndrome if he was bald. I swear to God. It looked like he just needed a giant M on his shirt so he could say Magnus to the rescue, head ass motherfucker. Anyway, so yeah, he wants to, they wanted to step to us, talk about we were late and everything, and I was just like, hold your horses, buckaroo. Y'all was the ones that didn't. We had the bags already loaded. We had the water and lab already done, and we were waiting for y'all to board. Y'all didn't board until D20, D15. We on a time schedule. Y'all late. So why are you gonna blame it on us? And so she tried to come at me wrongly, and everybody knows I have an attitude problem. Don't come at me wrong. So, because I'm gonna come back at you and tell you and expose your ass. And so there's that. And that's how my name got around to a lot of different stations. My name became I became the black sheep of my team, but I was still wanted by a lot of people because of my hard work ethic and what I did, especially when I learned how to become a departure coordinator for Alaska. Then that's when everybody really wanted me, but my name was known. I was known around G2 because I didn't put up with no one's shit. And that's the thing. They want you to, at that company, at G2, they want you to kiss ass so you can achieve higher in greatness. I don't kiss ass. I refuse to kiss any ass. And if you kiss ass to get promoted, then you're not using, then obviously you want to take the shortcut. To me, kissing ass is a shortcut to achieving your dream or achieving your goal. I don't kiss any ass, and I refuse to. So that was the whole thing. They want you to kiss ass. I didn't kiss anybody's ass. And, I go in there, I do my job because this is how I was trained to do my job. And you expect me to, go above and beyond my job every time, which I'm fine with if I'm getting paid for it. That was the problem. But we're going to get to that in a second. So let's backtrack real quick. There is a story I need to say. So one thing about the airline industry is that a lot of people don't understand is that you guys put your when you get on that plane, you're putting your life in the hands of these two pilots, and to get you from point A to point B, and sometimes point A to point B to point C and to point D, whatever. Pilots are the biggest dicks in the airline industry. In any job that I've ever worked for, I've never met some of the most cockiest motherfuckers of all time. Especially the older pilots. The older pilots has been doing this for years. You're either going to run into 9 out of 10, you're going to run into a cocky motherfucker who thinks he knows everything, who thinks he knows his own time, who thinks he can rule everything just because he's the pilot, and not realize that once he's on the ground, he's my bitch, and thinks that he can, control all that shit. Pilots are the biggest dicks. And I met one really big dick from Frontier. This motherfucker thought he had the gall because he came in with a maintenance issue, and my boss told me, hey, call maintenance because obviously he's not getting through. Call him, get him out here. We need to get this plane out of here. I'm fine with that. Cool, I'm doing my job. And he wants to go, pilots think they can say sly shit, and everybody just going. Most people do shy away and just be, ha, I'm not the one. So he was like, this is why every time I come to Kansas City, it's a piece of shit. First of all, you talking about the place that it's my home, and it's where I work, And I was like, sir, I'm only trying to help your ass. So if you don't want no help, you just let me know. He got up in my face, grabbed me by my shirt. That's all she wrote, fam. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Take me out to dinner before you start grabbing me like that, motherfucker. I pushed his ass back. His co-pilot had to come out and be like, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? He's like, you're finished. You're finished. I was like, you lucky I don't beat your ass right here. And so it was crazy because like the next, I want to say it was a Friday or a Saturday, because that Monday I was on a conference call with my boss and the district manager about the situation. I'm thinking, hey, I'm about to get fired, but hey, it was worth it. I didn't get fired and I didn't get kicked off the contract, so I was just like, okay. And so every time that pilot came in and he saw that I was working the flight, because we could see who's working flights. So I could see the pilot working the flight. He could see who's the load master for the flight. And every time we saw each other and everything, we just nod. Because he knew that I knew that he knew that I would beat his ass. So there's that. And then, funny story there. Yeah. So here's the thing about pilots, though. You have the cocky ones think they know everything, and they're the ones that will put your lives at risk. And when you get on the plane, just do a little prayer. Even if you're an atheist, just do a little prayer. I don't care who you pray to, just pray to somebody, because some cocky pilots will put your lives at risk, and you just don't know it. So, yeah. So during my summer tenure again, I went to Milwaukee, Omaha, and St. Louis. I was in St. Louis a lot. I think I spent more time in St. Louis than I did in my home. Like, it was crazy. Like, I moved into my new apartment June the 5th of 2021. The week before, leading up to me coming home to get my keys from my apartment, I was out of town. And then, literally, I only stayed like a couple of days getting situated into my new apartment. I didn't even sleep in my own bed until I came back home. If I want to be honest, yeah, I didn't sleep in my own bed. Like, my friends came out, so I think I slept in my bed like maybe once before I had to skedaddle out of town again back to St. Louis. Or I went to St. Louis, and I was always in St. Louis because St. Louis always needed help, and there was a bunch of us going to St. Louis. I've met guys from New Mexico. I've met guys from Utah. I've met guys from Tulsa. St. Louis had problems, and all because. And I hope you listening to this, all because that bitch Sherry L is the main problem for St. Louis Station. She thought she could be G2 and Alaska when she needed to just stay her ass over in the lane. Again, with a problem with these contracts is a lot of those liaisons or managers or whatever don't respect the boundaries of what they are, who they are. They don't respect us, especially ramp agents. A lot of places I went to, ramp agents were treated like shit. I don't appreciate that, especially if I'm the one loading your planes. Because and the thing with this, they liked me so much that I became a night manager there. They asked me to move to St. Louis because at that point I needed to. I was there at least every other week. I was there so much that there was a night where we all just went out and kicked it. And had to be at work the next morning. I got so fucked up. And I still got up at work at 4 a.m. Still fucked up, trying to work on the plane. So, yeah, we were, I grew close to the people in St. Louis. And it was crazy because, like, I've met a lot of people through the TDY, and we all went to St. Louis. And it was fucked. St. Louis was a fucked up place. And so, yeah, St. Louis is a really fucked up station. Planes coming in late. I remember one night in St. Louis. They only had a morning flight, an afternoon flight, and then a RON flight, which is a stayover flight. One fucking night, there was a thunderstorm in Chicago that diverted a flight to here. Another thunderstorm in Omaha that diverted another flight to here. And then our night flight came in. So there was like 3 different fucking flights on the ground at once. And I'm being called in. I had just got done doing the morning and afternoon shift. I'm tired as hell. And they calling me like, hey, we need you to come back. I'm like, I don't even, no. And then the other part about it is, as a TDY, a lot of the stations expected you to work every single day that you was there. No, bitch. If I was there for like 3-4 days, yes, I'm working every day. But if I'm there for more than a week, I'm taking a day off. You can kiss the black off my ass. And I've told them that. I've told people that. So yeah, those are some of the experiences I've had um traveling and working for them. But let me tell you guys something that a lot of you guys, this is one of the biggest things probably today that I can tell you. Most of the planes that you guys get on is probably near breaking down or has already broken down in the previous station. A lot of the planes that are flying, especially for like those subpar companies like Frontier, Spirit, Alaska, um, I can wholeheartedly tell you they're only being held together by duct tape and fucking God. I don't know what to tell you on that part. No, I'm being dead serious. I've seen it. You know, we had a plane come in and it got hit by a thunderbolt. And we called maintenance out, and for an hour he inspected it, and then he went to go get some electrical tape, and he taped the panels that were broken. He said they'll fix it in the next station. It's good to fly. The secret to that is all planes, all airlines have a MEL. It's a minimum equipment list. So it's the minimum things that a plane can fly with. So it's the bare minimum. A plane can fly. Hell, a plane can fly with one engine. We can, if the APU goes out, we can do an air start, get the engine running. You just won't have no air, or you won't have no power. Certain things won't be powered. You can fly without water in your plane. You just can't do, like, you can't have coffee or anything like that. And oh man. And then let's see, what else is there? Oh, cleanliness. A lot of airlines do not clean their planes at night. They do if they're RON flights and everything, but not to like the degree of detail that you would want them. Like, especially when you're getting on like those flights that like go back and forth. There's some nasty flights out there, man. And I see a lot of you guys, like a lot of you parents out there, please do not let your child run barefoot on that carpet. It's disgusting. There's bacteria as fuck on that carpet. So many people, all we do is vacuum at night. So when I was doing RONs for Alaska and all the American flights that were RON and parked, the Spirit flights that was RON and parked, any flight that's RON and parked, they don't go deep clean those carpets. They vacuum and go. So if you're letting your child barefoot on the floor and everything, that's a lot of bacteria on their feet, and they need to go get washed like now. So, yeah. Some of the craziest shit I've seen working at the airport, or craziest shit I've done. I mean, I've ran straight into one day when St. Louis, I ran into an engine. Like, I ran towards an engine because, so we had a plane that needed to come back in, but some trash that came in front of it and it was going to get sucked into the engine, which would have turned into a whole nother thing. No one knew what to do. And here's the thing. I'm not as young as I used to be, and my bones creak like it. My bones do snap, crackle, pop. I promise you, I'm old as hell. Even though I'm like 26, but my bones hurt. But I ran out full sprint. I hit. Back in high school, I could run a 4.7. I hit a 4.6, grabbing that and coming back because when I grabbed it, I was so close to the turbine of the engine that I can feel the suction sucking me down towards the engine, and I had to literally hit that flash sprint and get the hell out of there. And then the plane came back in, and everybody was just like, "Are you insane?" I was like, I don't know, I'm not insane, but it was very exhilarating. Like, it was very fun for me, type of thing. I enjoyed that part, you know. Let's see, what else is there? Oh, every station I've been to, short staff as fuck. And then the problem with it is that, especially like my station, especially in Kansas City, my boss wanted to show that his station was perfect on paper. So of course, his ass would always send me somewhere that didn't need my help, but our station needed help. But he would never accept any TDYs. He would never accept help. But he would send help out to everybody else that didn't fucking need help. I remember when he sent one of my coworkers, Sierra. She was a She was a CSA or customer service representative. He sent her ass to fucking Omaha when they went down to one flight, and she was there for like a month or two. They didn't need no damn help with one flight when we was short staffed or whatever. It was crazy. I short staffedness was just the tip of the iceberg of stuff. So I mean, there's that. Um, then I mean, I was being slowly overworked. I was always there. I was always getting called in because people didn't want to come in and shit like that. So it became my problem. And then another thing that started happening was I started noticing that the favoritism was the really big part. I work with a lot of Micronesians, and a lot of them, like, my boss at the time, her name's Dolores. A lot of her family worked there, and they would get the better end of the deal, or they're somehow all related or some shit, and they would get better positions or whatnot because of her. But then, like, when something, like, if I need something or if I need a day off and everything, oh, well, I need to write you up, but you won't write off your family member that's been gone for like 4 or 5 fucking days or whatever. There was a lot of that bullshit, and I hated it. I called that shit out many a times, and it became a problem, to where, stuff like that just irritates my soul. And it's not because they were family. They were all working there as family. There was a great guy there, a great older guy named Haas, and he pretty much broke it down to me about how they operated and everything. So I had to maneuver for a good couple months. I had to maneuver around that shit. My boss, now that I don't work there, I'm going to confirm my suspicion. My boss was fucking one of those CSAs. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Their relationship was way too personal. She was always in his car, always getting dropped off by him. She could be late, never got a write up about it or whatnot, and everybody just came to accept it. And then the excuse was that she was dating his brother. Bullshit. Again, the favoritism. If you want to bang the CSA and you the big boss, fine, do what you got to do, my boy. But hey, don't lie to me. The the answer's in the pudding. I see it. I'm not stupid. I wasn't born yesterday. I know what a secret work affair looks like, dumbass. What the fuck? So yes, that happened too. So boss fucking CSAs. Then I had one boss who, well, you know what? I don't even care no more. So one of my bosses, Cynthia, she was our boss for a long time before she just up and quit because she couldn't take it no more. She was conniving to take his job, and then the other dude, his name's John. He wants a better position, and they were always conniving how, and it would always end up with everybody else in the fucking middle between their three-way little tug of war battle about who's going to be the general manager or whatnot. Again, I gave no fucks because as long as I was getting paid, I was cool. But it started getting irritating because you could tell that frustration is being torn out on us, and it was just like, why? Why are y'all like this? So then, I went to Miami. I went to Miami to help open a station there. We helped open a G2 station in Miami. We took over the Frontier contract from a company called Swissport. They were not very happy or receiving of us. But a lot of us went down there. We had a lot of employees to start. So the first day, I remember we had like 100. We had 100 something guys out there. Nah. It was about 50 something guys out there. That wasn't including any of the TDYs. And there was a lot of us out there too. So I trained most of those ramp agents. We went down from like 50 to like, we went down from like 50 to like 30. And that's still not enough to operate a full operation. And Miami is a way busier airport than I was. Our airport, we only operated at most 2 Frontier flights to 3 Frontier flights a day. They're operating between 14 to 20 flights a day. So they needed to staff from 6 a.m. No. Their start time was 4 a.m. all the way until about the 1 a.m. That was the span of flights in Miami. And so when I was in Miami, I became the de facto ramp trainer. And then also I became a general manager at that, a ramp manager at that, because they had to fire. So craziest thing, they hired this old guy. They hired this really old guy. His name is Patrick. And they hired his ass. And they hired him as the ramp manager. He didn't know anything about Frontier. He didn't know anything about ramp. He pushed back a plane without having proper licensing, a proper badge. It was horrible. Like, it was crazy horrible. And so I'm working in Miami from the end of November all the way until the beginning of January. I missed Christmas and New Year's at home working in Miami. I'm working 16-hour days. I think I had, maybe out of all the time I was there, I had 3, maybe 4 days off. That's it. That's all I had. The checks was nice, but I was too fucking tired to spend that shit. So the final straw was, I Miami, at the Miami airport, G2 didn't follow the rules as far as getting visitor badges for any of us. We were only supposed to have 3 or whatnot, or they want us to get a permanent badge. It was crazy because I ended up getting lost, and I ended up in a section of the airport. It was very early in the morning. I'm sleepy as hell. I had been there since 3 o'clock the last day. Now it's 6 a.m., 7 a.m. So I get lost getting out of the airport, and I end up in the custom section. So this is where they do their international flights. And I get caught up there, and G2 gets really in big trouble. And it's not because I did anything wrong. I got lost. They understood that. It's because G2 didn't follow the fucking rules. The managers there didn't follow any of the procedures as far as getting visitor badges for any of us. So then we were fucked for a couple of days. I decided to go back home. I was tired. I needed to come home. And it was time. I couldn't deal with it no more. The stress was getting to me. I was cranky as hell. And I was taking it out on everybody. So I needed to come home. So I come home. And I come home. I take a couple days off to myself to try to get myself. I didn't feel that well coming back home. But I just waved it off. Well, I ended up having to go to work because my dumbass boss didn't know. My dumbass boss was never prepared for anything. At the time, there was only 3 of us. There was only 3 load masters at the time, and one of them was still in Miami. One of them was out sick with COVID, and they didn't think to tell me to put me on the schedule or anything to where I can come in. So I had to rush to the airport. I forgot my badge, and I had to do a balance worksheet and forge one for them to make it look legit. And yeah, there was that. And then I come back the next week, and it turns out, I come back the next day, and I just wasn't feeling good. I couldn't breathe. I felt horrible, completely horrible. And they was calling me on the radio. The plane came in late. It's going out late. There's nothing I can do. There's only 3 of us. And again, I couldn't breathe. I didn't feel good. And I'm doing my best trying to throw bags by myself and everything because I had 2 guys up there. And everybody's just asking me, am I okay? They're trying to radio me. Turns out I was sick with COVID. And I had to go down. And I kept getting bothered all through my 5 days of quarantine by my job, asking me fucking stupid questions about the operation and all that. And it was not a good experience for me. So my COVID resting days, the days I was supposed to be resting for COVID, did not turn into that. It turned into me being bothered. And so then, yeah, there's that. And so then when I came back from COVID, I had to have a sit down with my fucking boss and my other boss. And it was like how I let them down and why I didn't communicate with them when I had COVID. And I'm like, bitch, I didn't even know I had COVID. How the fuck I let y'all down? And y'all keep bothering me. If anything, y'all let me down. And I got sick doing all this shit, and my body just shut down on me. And, I start to realize that I'm being used. I start to realize that because I'm such a hard worker, because I do everything for them, that I start to realize that I shouldn't be there. But I stayed because they offered me the position of a trainer for JetBlue because we got the JetBlue contract. So my dumb ass stayed another couple of months training and watching the turnover rate get even worse. I'm literally training. I train more of the wheelchair agents I trained for JetBlue stayed than the ramp agents. I think I trained maybe out of about 30 to 40 ramp agents, only about 12 of those ramp agents are still around. That's horrible. And yeah, JetBlue. There's a lot I can say about the JetBlue franchise. Um, I, yeah. So a couple months go by with JetBlue. I think so. We took over JetBlue in about March. I went to Salt Lake for a little bit, helped out there, came back, took over the JetBlue thing. The managers extremely suck. They're overworking. They haven't really done a lot of hiring. At least last time I checked, they haven't done a lot of hiring. G2 Secure Staff of Kansas City is the worst company to work for, hands down. I will say that. If any of you out there want to be a ramp agent, go do it for a bigger one. Go work for Delta. Go work for go work for Delta. Go work for Southwest. Go work for American. Go get benefits. Go get actually good benefits. If anything happens to you, like what happened to me, I have back pain now, like even more rigorous back pain now than I've ever had because of them. And they didn't pay for any type of medication, any type of healing, nothing. And that was another reason why I had to leave. I left it all. I left all of that because I'm not going to be used. They will use you, especially if you're a good worker. If you're a good worker for them, they will use the fuck out of you. And the only way for you to move up is to kiss ass. That's the only way you're going to move up at G2 Secure Staff. And that's anywhere. G2 Secure Staff is the worst contract company to work for. You can do way better going and working for GAT. You could go work for ATS. You could go work for Prime Flight. You can work for Swissport, Mincy's, Mincy's, whatever the fuck they're called. You'll do more. You'll do better pay wise, and you'll get better treatment by going to those other companies other than G2 Secure Staff. Don't work for them. That's the bottom line. Don't ever work for them. They're very easy to get in. They will hire anybody. They will hire any fucking body off the street. But they won't treat you right. And these are from my personal experiences. I was not treated right. So I'm glad I'm gone. I'm glad. Yeah, crazy shit, right? All right. Also, I decided that I wanted to round this off by telling you guys that there's a couple airlines out there that I would highly recommend. I've been getting asked this question a lot, so here it is. I'm going to answer it. Some of the best airlines to fly. I've been getting that question a lot actually lately, and I compiled a little bit of a small list of airlines that you could take within the United States to some great destinations, especially if you want a bang for your buck. If you got a little bit extra money for some of these airlines, so Southwest to me is the best airline to fly because your bags fly free. They've been doing that for years. Your ticket, So the key to Southwest is that your ticket, the ticket price includes your bag. A lot of other companies give you a cheap ticket with the bag fee, but your ticket is including that bag or that second bag. You get 2 bags for free to check in, and then plus you could do your carry-on, and so you could take a nice amount of luggage on Southwest for a nice decent amount ticket. And they always have deal days that you can catch. One-way tickets sometimes be the lowest $48. And Southwest is a really great airline. I've always enjoyed Southwest. Also, just throwing this out there, if you don't want to pay for like the higher echelon tickets to where you can get row, because open seating is, Southwest has open seating. So if you want a good seat, but you don't want to pay for that high ticket, just go to the ticket counter. Go to that ticket counter, or go to the ticket counter when you're checking in or whatever, and ask them, is there still any of seats available in A through 15? And they'll just sell it to you for like $30. That's the best secret. That's the best secret I can give you. So number 2 is Delta. I've flown Delta. When I went to Milwaukee, I flew Delta. I flew on their CRJ. I hate CRJs. They're scary because of how like short to the ground they are. But Delta's very comfortable, and they have some very Delta takes manners to a whole nother level. They're like on Chick-fil-A level. So yeah, they're really nice. They was really good to me. Their bag fees is a little steep. Their ticket prices can be a little steep as well, depending on where you're going. But Delta is a very respectable airline, and they're clean, they're friendly, and I enjoyed it. I did enjoy flying Delta, so there's that. And number three, you have United. So I've never personally flown United, but I've only heard good things about United. United has comfortable seats. United cleans their seats. United has, expedited services that, like, if you're flying with them and you lose your bag, they make sure to get your bag back within the next business day or what. So they have some really good customer service people. And United, I've always seen United as like one of those upper echelon airlines, especially with all the rumors circulating around them, like as far as like they're getting brand new hypersonic planes. So obviously they're doing something right. Their tickets are a little steep though, I've noticed, but I would still put this on as number three on my list just because of all the good things I've heard, and probably the summer or next summer, I'm sorry, I would take United just to test them out. So yeah. And number four is JetBlue. Working for JetBlue, I've never flown JetBlue, but working for them and seeing how their the first class is what I would strive for. If I ever fly JetBlue, it has to be first class. Their first class are some of the most amazing seats. They have, like, on their 321s, they have seats that lay all the way down that turns into beds. Greatest thing ever. It's great. I'm down for that. And they have some of the cleanest planes. Their planes are so JetBlue takes cleaning to a whole nother level. And so yeah, that's definitely upper echelons for me. That's good for my money, so I'm here for it. Yeah. And number five is American. I hated the American experience. It's not the worst, but American has a lot of work that they need to do. I don't know. Their flight attendants are some rude bitches. I'll say that. I flew American to Miami and back, and then I think I flew American again. Yeah, I think I flew American again, and I hated it. I hated the whole experience. American is a garbage. Yeah, but it's not as garbage as the next couple. So yeah. And number six is Frontier. Working for Frontier and flying for Frontier both equally sucked. It sucked so much fucking ass. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. Oh god, it sucked. The first time I flew Frontier was a couple of years ago, and I had to go to Portland. And I took Frontier, went to Denver, had a 17-hour layover in Denver, then went to Portland, then my flight back from Portland to Denver, 14-hour layover, then Denver to Kansas City. Never fucking again. They have more direct flights now from Denver to Portland, where it's not a long-ass layover now because they've built their company back up. Because at the time when I flew them, I was flying them just after their bankruptcy. So they didn't have a lot of routes right then. But apparently now it'll be better, but I'm not risking that shit again. No thank you. That was already one experience I couldn't do, so yeah. Number seven is Alaska. I fucking hate Alaska. Alaska Airlines, working for them was the worst shit ever. I dreaded it. And then the flight attendants, first of all, are some of the meanest bitches of all time. The pilots suck so much ass. And from Kansas City, you had to go to Alaska, to Seattle, to get to anywhere else. And that's true for any place that does Alaska Airlines. Alaska only lets you traverse to Seattle to get to anywhere else. So if you want to go to San Diego from Kansas City on Alaska, you have to go to Seattle first, then go to San Diego. No fucking thank you. That's already a 3.5-hour flight that I got to do there, and then another hour and a half down. No, thank you. I'm not about to be on a plane that damn long just to get from point A to B when I could just take a direct flight. No. Alaska, no. But at my number 8 spot, the worst airline to fucking fly on is Spirit. I've flown in Spirit twice. Never again. I don't know why I did the second time. Oh, because I had to. The first time was enough for me, but I had to fly Spirit when I went to Vegas for the first. Well, when I went to Vegas for work. Actually, crazy enough, Spirit Airlines took me to Vegas my first time, and to Vegas again. Was that my second time in Vegas? Yes, my second time in Vegas. Crazy, right? Yeah. So, but Spirit Airlines is a very janky ass airlines. They have some of the jankiest workers that work there. I could tell you stories about Spirit. Their planes are old as hell. Um, those old they're first generation A320s, and those when those engines wind up, it sounds like it don't sound like a plane. I can tell you that. It sounds like your PS4 is about to explode. Yes, they are horrible. Oh my god, I do not. I don't care how fucking cheap that ticket is. I don't care about a $39 ticket to fucking Las Vegas. I'm going to Southwest. I'll pay that $239. I'll pay that extra $200 for comfort, for niceness, knowing my bag is gonna fucking get there. Oh my god, yeah, I'm paying for that shit. So those are the airlines that I would, my top three airlines is Southwest, Delta, United. Those are the airlines I would stick to. I'm always gonna stick to Southwest. I'm a Southwest man, and that's where I'm gonna be at. So So those are just some of the things that you should know about G2 Secure Staff, my experiences with them. The airline industry as a whole is still just a vast network of dumb fuckery. It's, yeah. Everybody got to travel. Everybody's got to travel. Just pick your poison. Just pick it and just swallow it and just hope and pray. That's all I can tell you. So, yeah. But in conclusion, don't ever fucking work for G2 Secure Staff. So. And if any of you guys are watching this that know me personally from the G2 Secure Staff or currently is still working with G2 Secure Staff, get out while you can. It's only going to get worse. It always does. So, so thank you guys. It's been fun. It's been real. I'm about to get out of here, start my Friday night. So you guys stay safe out there. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Please share. And on top of that, the Nerds of the Roundtable podcast, episode 2, has dropped today as well. You could check me out on Anchor, check me out on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, or Spotify. I'm on 5 different channels on the podcast, so we in the podcast game now, man. Yeah. So next week's episode, we're gonna be talking about the top 10 cities that you should visit in the United States. So I've traveled a lot, and those are cities you should go to. So thank you guys again for the support. I love you guys. Stay safe out there, and have a wonderful night. King J is out.